Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming into another video. All right, so feeling real good this morning. Los Angeles Lakers got a 3-1 lead in the first round, and we feel fantastic about how they ultimately were able to overcome our scheme for being small. We pushed all of our tiny people to the front of the class and said, "Win us a playoff game," and they did so, and we're very pleased with them. D'Angelo Russell, even though he mismanaged some of what was going on out there, ultimately it was his talent that just gave us the lead in the fourth quarter, hitting 3 straight 3-point shots with his fantastic form. You cannot say enough about what this dude can do when it really comes down to it, down the clutch of a basketball game. And I should have called it out, but he did have a certain look in his eye during the time when he was really struggling in that second quarter. They panned the camera to him, and you could see on his face a determination for not only overcoming what he was dealing with, but ultimately winning the game. And I just had a feeling at that moment that he may be ultimately able to do something special to help us win this game, or even further down the road, bigger things later on. And sure enough, he helped us in this game before getting fouled out. And I hope that this game, there's something to be said for struggling and having a coach believe in you. And while I'm the worst person in the world for that, I'm the guy that gives up on guys. Darvin Ham is not. And last year, the Timberwolves coach did. He benched the young man and ultimately didn't leave himself any opportunity for something like this to take place. So I definitely want to give Darvin Ham his credit for continuing to believe in guys when they're struggling. Sometimes, if not a lot of the time, it does get the best out of those struggling players. And I think, sometimes when you believe on people, they come through in the last minute, and you can't find out if they can do that unless you choose to believe in them. So that's really what it came down to. Many a coach would have benched D'Angelo Russell in this situation. Coach went back to him despite his struggles, and the kid showed up. And so I think that that's something that we can learn to lean in on, so to speak, in regards to our coach. When we start talking about the positive things about our coach, even though there are other players that get neglected in the situation, and we get frustrated about that, at the end of the day, that particular trait can improve players whose confidence is low and who are struggling. So that's definitely something I saw right there. D'Angelo Russell should be able to bounce back in a major way, in a confident way, after struggling pretty much to start this series. So hopefully this will do that for him. Watching this game made me feel really, really inspired just by the whole aura of the Memphis Grizzlies and how they've run their yap and are proceeding to get their butts kicked in a way that's not respectable to them. Their fans are embarrassed, and they're learning the hard lesson right here in real time that you cannot do that without having the game to back it up. That kind of inspired me this morning to use the song that they originally took their slogan from. It's a parade inside my city. Yeah, I put that on a playlist and then made an entire playlist of NBA YoungBoy's music, because initially that song is called The Fresh Prince of Utah, ironically enough, Utah Jazz. We were able to overcome in order to get in this situation, but nevertheless, that's the name of the song. So that inspired me to make an entire playlist. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple hours because of the Memphis Grizzlies. So thank you, Memphis Grizzlies, for once again inspiring what it is that we do here. And now, honestly, the only reason why I did that is because I wanted to put the song at the very end of the playlist. Why? Because you cannot at all have parades without wins and trophies in this sport. That is the golden rule. That's why it's such a irony. It's such a great irony that these kids who run around acting like they've won the championship or acting like they should be celebrated without actually doing the work are using such a slogan. That is irony. And what makes it even more ironic is young boys from Louisiana. The reason why they sing the song is because NBA, I think it was Lil Baby who was singing the song in Atlanta in front of Ja Morant. So they ran with the slogan. It has nothing to do with Memphis at all. So it just speaks to them. It's a perfect storm of what the Memphis Grizzlies are all about. They are so far away from grit and grind and what they were originally about when they put together the franchise in Memphis. And while I think these kids can get back to that, I think they had to go through this in order to get to that, which is why I wanted us to play as well as we have to beat them. It ain't just for our own story, it's for theirs. They are running around being an example of what not to do. Running your yap, poking bears. There's a reason why people don't do it. You tell people to heed wisdom and be wise. We don't poke bears in real life because bears will then attack you and you can't defend yourself against something with that powerful. That is the wisdom behind it. So when you run around telling people you poke bears, you're essentially saying I do unwise things. And what does that lead to? Failure, losses, things you shouldn't do. This is why all of this is so important to me, because I see the fullness of exactly what the lesson is as a whole. The Memphis Grizzlies do things the wrong way, and as a result, they're going to get the wrong results. That is what it is. You see it in every single fabric of what it is they're about this year. And what usually happens is if they learn the hard lessons, they then turn into champions. They really do. That's what usually happens in situations like this. But they can't get to that point. They can't learn these lessons unless they get their butts whooped by someone like us who's older than them, who they've disrespected, and who ultimately should be able to be wise enough not to do the things that they did. And a better example to show to others for what to do as opposed to what not to do in regards to winning. And so that's why I felt so inspired to make that playlist. That's why it's relevant to bring that to you. That's the tie-in to all of this. There's no reason to be screaming you're trying to have any type of parades unless you want a championship. I said the same thing to LeBron James when he said he wanted a parade for previous championships. No, brother. We missed that opportunity because of the pandemic, and I respect that. But we are not going to be running around having parades on Figueroa unless there's a championship to celebrate right now. And we inspire ourselves to go out and get that championship so that we can celebrate both championships at the same time. But we can't go back into no revisionist history while there's a current NBA champion who's actually hoisting the trophy and winning the rings, and while we parading up and down the street. This is not a symbolic thing. We are earning this. You understand what I'm saying? We earn our championships. We earn our parades. We don't go around skipping steps, and we certainly don't go around telling people we're something that we're not without being willing to do what it is it takes to be what it is we want to be. Absolutely not. And that's exactly what I think of the Memphis Grizzlies. A guy like Dillon Brooks learned a hard lesson right now, challenging a guy like LeBron James to get 40 points. I don't think he understands the wisdom behind why someone would challenge someone to do something like that. He's just going around doing something that he's seen older people do. You challenge the big dog. Do you know why you challenge the big dog? You challenge the big dog because you want to bring the best out of him so that you can stop it with your best. That's what challenging him does. It brings about something within you that allows you to face a difficulty that he would not provide if you otherwise didn't fire him up. You don't want to do that with the greatest player of all time. That's what you don't want to do. And see, a lot of people say that's Michael Jordan. That's fine. I've made that argument, but that's not the point. The point is, this is what Dillon Brooks is staring at. What are you doing? You don't even have the talent to do that. That's not firing up your team. That is bringing a target against you in regards to something that they likely are not going to be able to overcome. Do you know who his running mate is? Anthony Davis. And if you follow this sport, you know exactly how good that dude is. Why in the world would you want to fire up that team if you were down a bunch of big men? Brandon Clark is out. Are you going to do his job? No. Steven Adams is out. Are you going to do his job? No. John Morant, he hurt his hand. Are you going to do his job? No. So you're cashing checks. You're writing checks that you can't cash, essentially, is what's happening there. Writing checks that your team is going to have to cash, that your stars are going to come back and overcome hand injuries and all kinds of stuff so that they can back up your play. And the very least you could do is not harm your team. But you ain't going to do that because you're not wise to even know why you shouldn't. You're just going out there jacking up shots with confidence and in an unwise way, going around poking bears, compounding your own mistakes because you're already a detriment to your team by the way of your play. But then you're going to compound that by growling up the other team's best player and proceeding to let them bring their best against you when you can't even display your best against them. This is what's wrong with that team over there. They're childish and the leadership is null. It is nowhere to be found. And they want to listen to anybody until the NBA had to literally stop John Morant from his folly in real life, all the nonsense that he was doing, to show the team a reflection of what it is that they're allowing. They're allowing that nonsense. People are skipping steps out there. And to be honest with you, I don't think that represents Memphis properly. I ain't from Memphis. I don't know nobody out there, but I can tell you this. From what I see from afar, that's not what they about. They ain't about none of that. But you run around making them look like some fools with that damn team. And so I'm not saying anybody needs to blow the team up. I just think they need to learn their lesson. You don't go around poking your bears unless you're going to go out there and stop that bear when he comes at you with his most angry and mad and hungriest of moods. And I'm telling you, 2020, you wanted 40, you got it. You think that was by accident? That man was out there getting 20 boards. We set all our bigs so we can get them 20 boards, bro. That was symbolic for you. He wasn't going to give you no 40 points. He was going to make sure you understood exactly what you were going to respect. You were going to respect that not only could he do that to you, but he could probably go out there and do 40 on you next game too. But the 2020 will do, because he don't have to give you what you asked for. He give you what you deserve. And that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. So Desmond Bane, like I always try to acknowledge when players talk and they back it up, he backed it up. 37 or 36 points. That's a good show on the road in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, still a loser. Running your mouth, doing the gritty, telling everybody they need to be having whatever type of, energy that you're sending us on IG. You're down 3-1. You're down 3-1, and at the end of the day, it's not because of any other reason than you guys are engaging in folly. Because I'm telling you, this team meets the level of the opponent. If y'all wouldn't have gave us bulletin board material, we probably would have coasted through this entire thing. You'd probably be up 3-1. The way we move, we needed Dillon Brooks and Bane to do that. To be completely honest with you. If you look at how AD's struggling on the offensive end, we needed Bron to be as fired up as he is. Them 20 boards wouldn't have came if Dillon didn't do that. I guarantee it. So these are the type of things I'm just like, thank you. Thank you, basketball gods, for allowing us to have a team like this in the first round. You know what I mean? And again, I'm happy with the team, man. I think the team performed as best they could, even though we were going small, much to my chagrin. At the end of the day, they taught this team a lesson that's in that game 4. But here's the deal. Since we're teaching lessons, 12 minutes in, talked all about what Memphis Grizzlies need to be talking about and thinking about in my mind, humbling themselves and earning their damn parade and putting it last on the list in regards to things that are mattering to them and details first and utilizing their full team. Because I think it's absolutely ridiculous how they're utilizing their roster. We'll talk more about that after the series ends. But in the meantime, the Lakers. I'm looking around. The Lakers fear. Everybody's really, really happy. I'm really, really happy. Look at the smile. I'm happy. But let me tell you something. It's a 3-1 lead in the first round, baby. We are the Los Angeles Lakers. How many championships do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 17, right? I just think that we need to chill, bring ourselves back to a space where we act like we know who we are and act like we've been here before, and remember the fullness of the journey ahead, because this is a long road ahead. We got some long series to play, and this is a depleted team. Not every team we're going to see in front of us is depleted. We're going to have to play much better to beat teams. And in the meantime, there's still another game against the Memphis Grizzlies that we have to play. And if we don't play it properly, we'll be looking at a 3-2 lead, as to which we had better come in and play properly. And if we don't, we'll be looking at a 3-3 situation, as which we'll need to come in and play properly. And if we don't, we're looking at we're going home and have blown a 3-1 lead. And all this happiness and this folly that everybody's engaging in, acting like they moved on, or that there's a championship coming after yesterday's game, like a trophy supposed to be raised after yesterday's game. Those people are going to be the same people talking about blow this thing up, fire everybody, send LeBron to Toronto, all different types of crap that we know is coming if this team doesn't perform. So, as someone who prides himself on being somebody who helps prepare not only Laker Nation, but anybody who watches me who likes this team, including the team itself if they watch, we need to not get too damn happy with a 3-1 lead in the first damn round. The game was spectacular, and that, my friends, makes it a classic game. We can always look at highlights from classic games, from series, in playoffs, where we lost the championship. I can think of several games. It was awesome. At the end, somebody else hoists the trophy. I'm telling y'all, my eye is always on Larry O'Brien. And when I get Larry O'Brien, I'm thinking about the next one. I know that is a luxury I have because my body's not being worn down by the journey. So I respect that and try to pull back as best I can. But at the end of the day, the mentality doesn't hold fatigue. It holds purpose. And that purpose is Larry O'Brien. Straight up Baldy. We need that in our hands before we start getting as happy as we are. And trust you me, heartbreak comes with being too happy in situations like this. What we need to be is too focused. Too focused means that you're too prepared. Too prepared means that you're likely more prepared than the other guy. That's going to give you the inner peace and the inner joy that truly comes from what you want to feel versus what it is that you're actually feeling. What you're feeling is hope. What you're going to be dealing with is a battle. And so you need to temper that expectation as you get ready for that next battle. And that's what I have to understand as I move about in sports and life or anything I do. And so do all of us. Don't get too high or too low, because there's always going to be moments throughout the journey that are going to trick you into thinking that a trophy comes with the moment. It don't. It doesn't. It just gives you one more set of things to look at in regards to belief in yourself. Like I did that there. Look at that data. Man, look what we were capable of. Now, next time we see the next man, we're going to be able to do some of those things that we did in that triumphant moment so that we can get past him and get closer to the true triumph, which is the championship. Because everything else is just progressions toward that championship. And if we've done everything within these playoffs that help us be satisfied with those progressions, then we'll feel like we're well on our way to our next journey toward the championship. And you won't allow this to feel like a failure. It only feels like a failure when you don't do everything you're supposed to do and you leave energy out there. If you leave it all out there like Brian left it out there yesterday, and you give yourself your best strategy, then you have to challenge the field to try to defeat that. And if they do, cool. That's all I'm saying. But getting too happy, thinking that you've won something between now and game 5, trust you me, all they're going to do is come in even more desperate, even more angered, and even more intent on hitting you early. Because that's all they got left. And if you jump on them early and they can't overcome that, they going home. It's Cancun time. For the Gritty Boys, they can dance all the way to the airport. And that's exactly where they deserve to be. So us being too happy is going to leave us in a situation where this series expands. That's bad for a multitude of reasons. None more than health. Right? None more than our older guys don't need to be banging around as much as we have them banging in these various basketball games. The more games we play, the more banging they do. The more tired they'll be, the less gas they'll have when we need them the most. And that is what we need to be ever so cognizant of. I think that's why we need to start utilizing our bigs more in these playoffs. Because if we start making the same mistake we made last year, having LeBron James playing the center position and being all big, it's going to be just like last year, and he's going to get worn down and end up injured. We seen that. ESPN was telling everybody, oh, LeBron James should stay at center. That is exactly what the Lakers need to do. Oh, he could play so perfect from the center position. And I told all of y'all on the same camera with the same face that man's going to get injured if we keep doing that stupid crap. And sure enough, wasn't a good month and a half, he was injured. So we have the bigs. At that point, we had like one center on the team. So we didn't have many options. This year, that's not the case. This is the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I like seeing him get 20-20 as much as the next guy. But there's never any reason for us to ask him to do that much on the boards. There's never any reason for him to be out there with only a few bigs. That's a choice. It's a choice we went to go with multiple ball handlers and have like 7 and 8 point guards on the floor. You know what I'm saying? Exaggerated, of course, but these are the things that Darvin wants to do instead of rebounding. And I tell you, last night, at the end of the video, I made it clear that I think that's just a bad way to go. And I think it's always a bad way to go. I will never, ever choose to punt rebounding. Not at all. We're going to choose to punt something else. And I understand how important foot speed is, but it's only one foot speed demon out there. It's only John Morant, maybe a couple guys who can run. But, I mean, it's not like we have a bunch of sluggards who are running with length. The guys who have length can get up and down the floor. Rui, Winyon, Mo, AD, obviously Bron, these guys can get up and down the floor. We don't have to run 4 guard lineups to keep foot speed on the floor. We don't. That's not true. So I'm just looking at certain things that Darvin's doing, and I'm just saying, man, like I said, we pushing our lowest likely stuff to succeed to the front of the class and telling it to win playoff games for us, just like we did in the regular season. Asking Vando to hit threes, asking Beasley to hit shots, all kinds of stuff that just usually doesn't work for us. Bron 3-point shots we rely upon too much. It's just a bunch of stuff that isn't high percentage. Okay? And so that's what we saw a lot of yesterday. And it made for a very exciting basketball game that actually didn't have to be. We could have out-rebounded them by 20 if we would just keep the right people on the floor to do so. So, yeah, that's what I have to say, man. My frustration continues. I don't think it's going to go away. This feels like a Darvin thing forever kind of thing. And he's just going to always believe in guards. He's always going to want multiple ball handlers. He's always going to think it's a guard league and stuff like that. That just really makes it so that your roster has to be this talented in order to win basketball games. That's pretty much what it is. So I'm over it. I'm loving the winning, but I hate the situation. And given the fact that it's the first round, I know that this is not yet something that we can say is successful. It's just doing what it's supposed to do, given the team's so damn talented. It's supposed to be the depleted Houston team. You can run any system with this roster basically and beat a depleted Houston team, Memphis team. You really can. With Anthony Davis, LeBron James, all these guys, we can run a lot of different sets, still get the same results. Or better, much better. Believe me, much better. And that's why I get frustrated. None of this stuff buys us enough health for the rest that I think is most important for AD and Bron. At the end of the day, none of it buys us rest, and we're going to be depleted in the end if we don't use these bigs. And as I always say, if you keep guys in rotation, they're more likely to help you when you need them. If you wait and have them sitting for 7 or 8 games in a row, then somebody rolls an ankle, you call on them, they're going to be hot garbage. I cannot stress this enough. Your Lonnie Walker, your Max Chrisley, them dudes going to play like butt when you send them out there after sitting for this long, having not believed in them at all. It's just the stupidest thing to me, but coaches do it all the time. It only makes sense when the players can't play. It definitely doesn't make sense when they definitely can. You know what I'm saying? What is that, number 86th, 87th time I had to say this? So success only makes it so that we have to continue to watch this crap, which is a good thing. Good thing, as long as it's working. But when you know it's the roster, and you know that the roster has to pull itself out of holes every night, you're just not impressed. If anything, you're frustrated. You're depressed. And so that's where I'm at. I want the team to get itself together, man, as it pertains to using things that give us the highest percentage opportunities to rebound, so that we can buy Anthony Davis some rest, buy LeBron James some rest, make it so that they're not banging so early in the damn playoffs with so many heavy players that are going to be pushing against them as the series that come about. So whatever the case may be, we're up 3-1. We're happy about that. However we get to point B is a good thing. But if we don't keep our eye on the ball or respect that we still have some major flaws, it's just going to be let down season. You know what I mean? It's going to be let down season. And so we won't allow it to happen. We're still waiting for them to use Kenny. We're still waiting for a Luke Kennard game. We're still aware that John Moran is getting healthier as the series progresses, even though he did fall on that hand yesterday in a way that probably set him back a little bit. So we will keep an eye on that. But all in all, I think Jaren Jackson tweaked his ankle yesterday as well. That's something to keep an eye on. He played through it, but I saw that happen. So little knickknacks are going to be picked up. All of these guys are not 100% at this time of year. No one is. So that's not to be even really thought about too much. At the end of the day, guys are going to give it what they got. And I felt like LeBron James gave us a lot, and we got another game to play tomorrow. So as I said, these games are going to be crunched together more so and more so and more so. I think it would be ever so smart for us to buy LeBron some rest tomorrow, even though we don't want to load manage anything in the playoffs. At the end of the day, if he plays under 35 minutes, I'll be pleased, because he did play 45 in this last one, and it's already been said. You get it. So same thing with AD. We want to limit his minutes, in my opinion, in this next matchup, to try to buy ourselves some rest if for some reason we lose the game and extend the series. You're going to want them to be healthier. I don't expect to lose the game. I really don't. I think the killer instinct that this team has, coupled with our confidence against this team, we've beaten them a lot already. In whatever form they've shown us. We beat them here, we beat them there, or whatever. That's the hardest place in the league to win, so we need to know that going into the series. Into this game. Although we've already won a game there, we have lost a game there. So they have the best home record in the league. And that means we got to bring our A game to win there, period. I don't give a damn what you've already done. This is a new game. This is a new day. And that stat is real. So play like you need to in order to close this series out, and don't feel no kind of way about a 3-1 lead. Me personally, when I hear 3-1, I'm fearful. Doc Rivers has made me healthy in regards to not wanting to overthink a 3-1 lead. You can very easily blow that. We've seen it multiple times over the last 15 years. It just happens. So I think Game 5 is an important basketball game for every situation. But when you're up 3-1, you had better treat that like a Game 7. Because that next Game 6, they got all the momentum, and anything can happen from there. A rolled ankle can mess your whole situation up. Look at what's going on in Miami, ladies and gentlemen. We do not want to play extra basketball. We do not want to think that opponent can't fight back. A guy like Ja Morant, anything's possible. Anything's possible. When you see Jimmy Butler go for 56, anything's possible. So that's what I'm trying to express. I'm not happy to be here, so to speak. You know what I mean? I am pleased we're here, but we've been here before. We know what we're here for. We know what getting too high or too low it ultimately does to us. It leaves you vulnerable to being beaten. It leaves you in a space where you look like food to the other opponent. It leaves you in a space where you think you've won. When you haven't, you take the foot off the gas and they run past you. So we can't let it happen, simply put. So that's really where I'm at, man. I have a mixed emotions of being a Laker fan that is frustrated with the play style, but very pleased with the overall circumstance. And I just want our team to continue to fight, man. Fight. We put up 117 points on this team. I think that's pretty good. I think we should always aim for 120 points, especially given into the who we're going to be playing next. If we're able to get out of this series unscathed, it's going to be one of the best offenses in the league either way. Number 1 or number 2, Kings of Golden State. So scoring a lot it's definitely going to be on point. I like the fact that we attempted 36 threes. I want to see us continue to hover around that. We definitely want to hit more than 10 of them, though. But, anytime we're shooting under that, 18, 20, 22, for me, it's only cool if we have an abnormal amount of interior scoring points. If we've scored over 60 interior scoring points, then that's cool. But if we're not, then chances are we haven't scored enough to win. Essentially is what I'm telling you. We're going to have to attempt enough threes from night to night. And given the fact that we got the Beasleys, we got D'Lo, Austin shooting the way that he has, that should be doable. So, yeah, man. Free throw line, 25 or 31. That's good as a team. But I still think we can sure that up. You know what I mean? And people, we know who's shooting the free throw well and who's not. We just need everybody to shoot it to the best of their ability and don't leave anything out there. So just taking a look at these stats, of course. In the 11 blocks, I just love how we'll be able to get deflections. I think, you got to give Rob Pelinka so much credit for all of the shot blocking that he was able to ultimately put on this roster, man. And you couple that with Anthony Davis already being in place, makes us a devastating team. And then what we're seeing is guys contributing to the blocks that aren't even, shot blockers. You see Dennis Schroeder contributing 2 blocks. You see Troy Brown blocking shots. Rui Hachimura has been fantastic on the weak side in these playoffs, which is such a sight to see, given the fact that we made such a big deal of that. You know what I mean? He really, really took that situation very seriously in regards to what he needed to do to contribute to ultimately earn his playing time and earn the trust of his coaches. And I just think his hard work is really showing on the basketball floor, and I would love to see it be rewarded a bit more than we've seen it be. You know what I'm saying? I think his numbers should be, or rather his minutes should be increased based on the numbers that have that have been given to us in this series. So I don't know what we're holding him back for. I don't understand what we're resting him for. It feels like we're resting him, and we shouldn't. This kid is very much ready to go. We should be giving him more of the minutes that we're ultimately asking our stars to take on. Bron playing 45 minutes, and some of those should just be Rui minutes. Asking AD to play so much, some of those should be with Rui worked into the equation. So I just want to harken back to trying to psych myself into believing that it's so necessary to have Schroeder, D'Lo, and Austin on the floor at the same time. I really don't believe it is. The only reason why I would ever want something like that on the floor is if we're trying to showcase Malik Beasley and Rui Hachimura. That way you can have the multiple ball handlers on the floor to make them have multiple looks, from different angles. Passes could be coming their way. So I like the idea of that, but it leaves me too vulnerable, man. It leaves me too vulnerable on the boards. It leaves me too vulnerable in transition. It leaves me too vulnerable in various ways that are really, really, really easy to patch up if you just don't do that crap. So that's what I want to say. It's like I understand the need for multiple ball handlers, but it's not like you're going to get blown out if you don't do it. But there's a good chance you do get blown out if those ball handlers can't rebound the ball. If for some reason they start fouling and stuff like that, it can turn into a monstrous problem for you. So I just think the risk outweigh the rewards in a really, really major way, in my humble opinion. And so even though I don't think of myself as the greatest basketball mind, I just don't think that at the end of the day, it is that much of a problem to match up with bigs in situations like that. If you just put regular, traditional, rotational bigs on the floor, coupled with the guards and the forwards that you need, old school basketball with switchable, tall, like height players will make you very, very, competent out there is the word. You'll be able to do the different things that are necessary to just compete, rebound, get deflections, block shots, all the different things that just keep yourself looking like a solid basketball team. I don't understand why I need to just try to run the score up so bad with these 3-point shots. I don't understand the need for that when there's so many different ways. You figure if I'm leaning into my scoring and I'm giving up rebounds and points on the defensive end, then whatever it is I'm actually doing is still being given up, is it not? It seems to me if I'm leaning in on rebounding and size, I'm taking away more than I'm giving up. No matter what is given up, I'm still taking more because I'm getting those boards. I'm creating more problems. I'm contesting shots. You know what I mean? It's an eyesore, man. It's an absolute eyesore to see these guys get rebounded over. You know what I mean? It really is. It's an eyesore seeing them get pushed around. See them fight around screens and get rubbed out the way by a guy like Tillman. I mean, it's just driving me crazy, man. So, I don't know. I just wanted to stop. I like winning, but I don't want to win this way because it's leaving us without size. And that size leaves us with more fatigue. It translates to being, more Bron and AD centric, which makes it so that they're likely to get hurt. So that's really what I want to say, man. That's it. That's what I have to say every day, man. And I'm sick of saying it. I think we would have won by like 25 if we would have had that worked into our equation all season long. Worst case scenario, some of them bigs would have been hurt by now, and thus we would have been forced to do this any damn way. You understand what I'm saying? It's like worst comes to worst, you're gonna be forced to do the scrap anyway, Darvin. You know what I'm saying? Just give us our bigs for now, and let's buy ourselves some rest. So that's pretty much what I gotta say, man. Happy to be up 3-1, but very, very exhausted at just how unnecessary all of this ultimately truly is. That's what fatigues my brain. Just knowing you don't have to do this. But it is what it is, man. This is what happens when you go down the rabbit hole of trying to learn what it is that you're passionate about. If I was a kid, I'd just look at this and say, oh my God, LeBron had the greatest game. Oh, but like, when you know your options, it's like, well, God dang, why did I try to do that? Why did I even? When I could have did something so much easier that would have made me so much more dominant. So that's always going to be my point of view. And that's pretty much it, man. That's what I really got to say. I'd love to be more triumphant and happy and all that, but I just actually understand this is the first round. And we haven't even won the series yet. and we're showing a lot of weaknesses. And so, yeah, I think I really actually get it. That's the problem. Kind of wish I didn't. It's easier being on the other side of the matrix, you know? It's like, it's a nice steak. It's like, no, it's not a steak, dude. You're not even really in a restaurant. That's kind of what this is. It's the first round, baby. We ain't done nothing. We still got to see them in their house in the next game. And so, if we're not prepared for that, if we're still thinking we're getting a championship trophy for beating them in game 4, chances are they're going to get us in game 5, and then we're going to be right back here talking about all kinds of other crap in regards to having to face them. And we tired of them. We don't want to see them no more this season. It's time to send them to Cancun and send ourselves to the second round. So that's what I have to say, man. We got to take care of game 5. Stay detail oriented. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Video 44. I thank you all for watching.